In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what it is you need to do to recognize when it's time to make a change in your equipment. And when I say change, I don't necessarily mean that it has to be an upgrade. You don't have to get the biggest, most awesome machine that's available on the market. Sometimes it's downgrading or just making a simple change to your environment so that you're more productive as a sewist. These tips are probably going to seem really common sense when you think about it. However, sometimes it takes someone else telling us something to look out for before we recognize that in ourselves. And I'm pretty notorious for changing out my equipment quite frequently, but I usually have good reasons. The biggest tip is basically recognizing when you are stuck creatively and there are things that you want to do that you cannot do with your current set of equipment. For example, I used to have a combination embroidery and sewing machine. That's one needle, and it was pretty slow, and I was limited on my hoop sizes. So when people would come to me and ask for full-size towels or robes, jackets, things like that, I had to politely decline because I didn't feel comfortable splitting designs in half and doing them on one side and then the other. And the other thing is, if it's a single needle and you're constantly changing the thread colors, it gets really annoying once you start moving on to designs that have a lot more color in them. Or how about that time I was live streaming making my first vinyl wallet and my Viking sewing machine basically died right there on the spot and stopped with the needle, shook and screamed at everybody, and I had a panic attack. Or you're having a midlife crisis and have discovered Japanese ball jointed dolls that look really freaking cool, and then you figured out that your serger can't do a 5mm seam allowance for the tiny doll clothes. All jokes aside, if you find that you're having to cut corners in order to figure out a way to do the thing that you want to do, but your machinery isn't going to let you do it, that is the best sign for needing to make some kind of change in your equipment. Sometimes this is a personal decision. Other times it's for business. On the personal side, I switched to a multi-needle embroidery machine purely because I hated changing thread colors. I wanted to do larger designs with a lot more detail, and that involves extra color. And when I kept finding myself getting up and changing the thread every 20 to 30 seconds, it was really bugging me out. But then on a professional level, I wanted to advance my bag making and I wanted to do vinyl with ease and never have to worry about all the little tips and tricks so that I could do it on domestic machine. And so that's why I got the Juki. And of course, I most recently upgraded from the Baby Lock Evolution to the Baby Lock Triumph Serger because I quite literally just wanted to make tiny doll clothes.
So tiny, so kawaii.
Tip number 2 on when you need to make a change would be recognizing when you are frustrated, angry, and want to murder people. The best example that I can give of this is when we moved to North Carolina and I heard my 12-year-old screaming and yelling at her budget sewing machine. I got it. It was less than $200. We got that machine specifically because she was very much an 8-year-old at the time, and there was absolutely no reason to get anything more expensive for an 8-year-old. We all do this. We go into a hobby or a craft and we think, I don't want to spend too much money on this. I might not like it, etc., etc. But on the flip side, if you get something pretty low budget and crappy, you're going to get really frustrated with the output and the results you get from said machine. So now my 12-year-old has a baby lock, but she's happier. My frustration with changing thread colors? Absolutely valid, and exactly why I have a Ricoma MT-1501 now. And how about downgrading? Have you not noticed that the machine over this way is not the Janome M7? It's in fact a Janome HD9 now. I sold the M7 and traded it out for an HD9 because I was so tired of the computerized sewing machine having to think before it would actually start stitching. That, by the way, is a side effect of getting addicted to industrial machines. Of course, now that I think about it, I don't have any machine that can do a zigzag, so I guess I'm stealing that baby lock I bought for my 12-year-old. All this to say, you shouldn't be angry, frustrated, or stressed out when you are doing any kind of craft. You should be calm, collected, and having fun. If it's not fun, why are you doing it? And if it's frustrating, you're not going to want to spend any time on it. And the other side of that is you might not know if it's you or your equipment that's holding you back. Ask me about my stupid expensive violin. Tip number 3, recognizing when you get inconsistent results. A lot of us start out with combination machines. You have a little bit of embroidery, you have a little bit of sewing, you have a little bit of a fake overlock action in there. Woo! Sounds awesome. It's a great deal. You got it for like $350 at like whatever box store here. But the problem with those things is they are a jack of all trades, master of none. In fact, you could not pay me enough money today to go out and buy a combination embroidery sewing machine. Absolutely not. I've had too many where it was somewhat okay in one or the other category, but never awesome at either of them. Which is why I now own 4 machines. 5 if you count the baby lock I bought for my 12-year-old. Now for me, the consistency was absolutely a business decision. I did not want to have to make 4 or 5 hats, towels, whatever, and not have them look exactly the same. There's always going to be some level of inconsistency just because of like stitches are never exactly the same, and that's just, chaos theory from Jurassic Park. But, when you've got a big order, say for like 100 hats for a stream for Starlight, I want to make sure that the equipment that I have is reliable and consistent and that everything comes out looking relatively the same, and I don't have to fuss with it every 5 seconds to fix something. Having that kind of consistency and reliability in your equipment is what's going to eventually give you that confidence to take larger orders and possibly do wholesale in the future. If you're anything like me, you really don't like spending money on yourself. It's extremely difficult without writing a 20-page dissertation on how it's going to eventually make money back. Fun fact, violin is the only hobby I have never monetized, for a very good reason. But when I wanted to go from a desktop laser from the Gwick Cloud to the larger 35-inch wide Thunder Nova, I basically wrote a 20-page paper explaining how it was a good and sound business decision, what my business plan was going forward, and how I was going to recoup those costs for my family and my business. On the flip side of that coin, when I went from a single needle embroidery machine to a 10 and then a 15 needle embroidery machine, I basically just told my husband, I'm gonna murder people. But sometimes we just want to be happy and we want to move forward with our crafts and do things that we probably couldn't have done before unless we did that. And it's kind of like, Field of Dreams. If you buy it, the business will come. That's not Field of Dreams, but it feels like Field of Dreams, but with less ghost and baseball. And I'm only going down this path toward the end of the video because I just want people to know that it's okay to just simply want more. It's okay to want more for yourself. It doesn't have to have a business need. If you want the thing, figure out a way to do it. If that means making 20 bags and then going to buy an upgraded machine with whatever you make off of those bags, go for it. Just do it. Just be happy and enjoy your craft. I hope that these tips help you recognize in yourself any of the pain points, whether they be business or personal, frustration with equipment, or a desire to do more with your equipment that maybe you couldn't have recognized before. Please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel and leave your comments below on reasons why you've upgraded. Do you have any fun stories, like maybe me threatening to kill people over embroidery changes? Ah! Oh, okay, that was a little loud, but I'm leaving it in the video because it's funny.